So good morning, everyone. All right, okay, for those, okay, for the week four, right? Week four, session two on group seven, all right? Okay. So we actually have been go through with those development and sketches, okay, for last Monday, all right? Okay. And of course, from that developments, I hope I can actually give you a little bit more insight on how actually you develop that kind of ideas from there. But I actually did it basically the thumbnail and also another progression for group six. All right, group six basically for after what your class is there. Right? So that means you can basically go through back again my kind of demonstrations on my YouTube there. Okay, how actually it works there. Okay, it looks on that based on the ideas that have been developed in your classes there. Okay, so I developed at least two different ideas there. Okay, different kind of sketch based on the same ideas. Okay, based on the same ideas. So you have to understand that, okay? In order for us to develop more smarter way and quick way on our sketches, which is our ideas at the same time, right? We need to define first what are the elements that we're going to use. Uh, Sorry, Derek. I had some troubles again. I think I don't know why. This morning, basically, I had a trouble with those the line itself, Derek. I don't know why. Okay, let me check back again. But we're still in recording sessions, right? Okay, good. Just now, suddenly we freeze there, right? So, if you take a look closely there, okay, the ideas that where actually I've been stopped just now, there, right? Right here, is it? All right, I developed basically these characters, okay, that based on the second sketches there, okay. And of course, okay, during the process of developing those ideas there, there's a critical time and crucial time for you to develop basically that kind of understanding there on your own ideas at the same time and try to refine a little bit more further based on your kind of artistic kind of understanding there. All right. That based on aesthetical kind of understanding. What I mean by aesthetical understanding there, they comes around with those experience to understand about the element and principle that you actually can gather into your kind of work there, right? At the same times, you basically have the taste of design that you actually going to be applied on your works based on your inspirations or your kind of understanding there, right? Okay, to develop the conceptualize and stylization on your works there, right? It came with a lot of experience, with a lot of observations, and of course with a lot of understanding and experience and experiment there, okay? Using various type of styles that before you going to decide, okay, whether this is the type of styles that you're going to use for your works in the future there, right? Okay. So that's why as an illustrator, you need to basically experiment with a lot of styles that before you're going to find, okay, this is the one that actually I'm going to use there, okay? But the core kind of what we call that skills that you have to nurture the right way and improve from time to times is how you develop your sketches. Okay, how you develop your sketches that base from your how you construct your ideas together, because those are the things that a lot of students normally have missed out there, right? They're too fascinated with those tools in computers, all right? You're going to learn computers very fast there, right? But you forgot about how to develop very strong ideas from there. That's why we can see sometimes in diploma kind of show, okay? The students kind of what we call that skills to develop a right kind of posters design for their FYPs quite very weak there, right? Okay. I would say you can get a lot of reference samples of ideas and techniques and styles if you go into, for example, like a Behance, right? Not only my Behance, right, but the actual kind of other illustrators kind of works here. If, for example, okay, we go for illustrations. Okay. At illustrations, you can find a lot of styles that you guys can use to develop your kind of level of understanding and skill at the same time, okay? From doodle kind of design illustrations, like a cartoon styles there, right? Or maybe some conceptual styles like this one. Try to find some of those ideas from here, right? If, because there's a lot of way basically you guys can work on these illustrations like this one, lassos, Photoshop, these kind of colors there to work with there, right? This one is a bit more like graphical kind of illustration style. Yeah, I like to what we call that. Take a look at it, right? Okay? And some character styles design there, right? Okay. This is a sketches there, guys. Okay. I want to capture this one, but nowadays basically they have been locked. They hold this what we call that. These illustrations there, okay? These images there, okay? For the copyright usage there. Maybe I'm going to add I don't know what happened to my wife, my hotspot there, right? Okay, but basically there is the data on that. Let's have some of the glitch there right from there. So you guys know the ideas behind that, right? Okay, you guys understand, right? Okay, hopefully you guys understand about it, right? How actually work on it. You guys can see also from also the same thing. How actually take those ideas from there. Wake up, okay? What I want to share with you today, okay, with the rest of you guys also at the same time, there, right? Is when you want to develop these pangolin characters, okay, make sure you develop correctly there, okay? And of course, okay, it has to become with a variety kind of styles to approach this design. You have to redesign these characters back again and also add another characters, okay, more characters to make it more reachable for your ideas. Okay, Wei Kong, you hear that right? Okay. So I had basically designed this pangolin characters day before for one of the product, okay, but we cannot actually what we call that submit basically and launch basically the product because I actually discussed with the client itself that uh, they cannot actually launch this kind of ideas because the product itself doesn't fit basically the today's kind of needs there. So I will share with you guys. Okay, I've been shared with you guys there before, okay, if I'm not mistaken, there, right? So this is basically one of the things that I've been working on before this, okay? So I actually have designed the penguin characters there before. So you guys can see the screen sharing is over here. Okay, I've done a few number kind of research there, Wekong, before I'm going to decide to design those pangolin characters there. Okay, if you just decide to draw based on the actual pangolin, I'm saying this is not going to be successful from there. Okay, this is basically my research and also my sketches there, right? Okay, that based on this character, my design and developing directly from there. This is some of the reference that I actually get from the internet. Okay, they design the 3D characters based on the pangolin there. There has to be what we call that appealing lah. Okay, this is some of my few rough sketches there for my clients before basically I'm going to design them back. Okay, take a look back again my design and your kind of presentations there, Wekong and the rest of you guys there. Right? And this is some of the earliest kind of design that I create that basically based on the logo there, right? Okay, and then I redesigned that back again. How many designs that I produce right now there, guys? A lot there, guys. Okay, and this is some of those designs I actually try to create a little bit more like animated kind of styles there, but they don't actually agree with it there, right? So I moved back again to my drawing board to design and develop back again more characters from here. So even though this design look like finishing kind of product, but still has more developing from there, right? I have to develop more of the color scheme at the same time there and try to design few number kind of features there, okay? Different kind of features, okay, to make sure that maybe the client will buy this kind of ideas there, okay? But when we decide to experiment with the actual kind of styles, the type of physical of these characters, it doesn't look appealing, it doesn't look cute there, right? Okay, so we change back again. Okay, so I go back into my sketchbooks, I sketch more kind of what we call the design there. How many sketches that I create, right? Okay, a lot there, right? You just sketch only 5 drawings there, then you thought basically it's enough there, right? But I try to sketch more from there, okay? And some of the compositions for the product itself, okay? But this is one of the Photoshop styles that I create from here, okay? But still, basically, we still develop a bit more further kind of works from here there, okay? So I start to develop a lot of what we call that simplicity styles, okay? Simplicity of those characters there, the features of the characters there, okay? Before I'm going to decide to use some of the final one like this, okay, for their works there. Right? So this is basically almost final kind of features of these characters that, okay, that have been designed for them there. Right? So, but unfortunately, we cannot actually launch the projects because of this pandemic at the same time, and also I would say this product won't be able to fit basically the teenagers kind of what we call that needs there, right? Okay? Who actually want to drink ginger there, right? Okay? Kind of boba tea. who actually want, okay? Old people like me may be there, right, okay? But do you guys drink ginger boba tea? We never know that, right, okay? So that's why we decide to hold further basically these ideas, right, okay? But can you see that, right, okay? How much time that I spent to create all these ideas here? And of course, like, they paid me half of it basically because of we actually developed the ideas from here, okay? So I go to Toys R Us to find more kind of ideas that working to develop a more kind of understanding on these characters here. Okay. So it's a very serious kind of thing there, guys, okay, when we work on it. So it's even though it's not basically been launched there, okay, but I want you guys to see there, okay, how far basically I developed the characters right here. Okay. So if you just design only 5 sketches there, Wei Kong, and the characters doesn't look appealing, think again, right? Okay, you need to develop more further from there. All right. Okay, Wei Kong. Okay, take a look. Okay, this is some of my mood board research. Okay, my research on the character design there. Okay, before I'm going to decide. Okay, even though Brazil, FIFA 2014 also used pangolin there. Okay, so you have to do more research before you're going to decide to use them. Okay, how they design those characters there, how they actually apply that. Okay, I also refer some of the different character styles there in order for me to execute with my ideas at the same time there, right? See? So all this kind of research is really important here before we're going to decide to use or to work on our work. Okay? Even though I go through, this is the Digimon there, okay? Digimon or Pokemon, kind of what we call that, monsters there. So they have designed also some characters that look like a pangolin and dragon at the same time there, right? More design from other people's there, right? So all this kind of visual information is really important for us. Okay, before we're going to decide, oh, we are going to use them again. More ideas from other people. Okay, they use armadillo. They look a bit more similar to what we call that pangolin there. Okay, so you cannot actually just simply design from the real photos like this one there. Okay, and you thought they're going to make it right. This is some of the original design from them, from the client there. Okay, it's not quite appealing there, a bit old schools. So we decide basically to do some changes from there. Okay, but yes, unfortunately, we can actually continue there. Okay, at the moment because I don't want my client basically to what we call that to have basically some disasters on the financials there. Okay, so that's basically one of the relation that I try to create with the clients itself. Okay, be responsible. Okay, I'm not just taking the monies. Okay, but I want to make those kind of what we call the projects are going to be succeed at the same time. If we cannot succeed the right way, we just have to consult with them, okay, to make sure that they don't actually spend too much money, okay, and we are going to get blamed on it later on if the project doesn't succeed. I don't want to get blamed from there, okay, even though we have done our job, okay, from to develop the kind of what we call the ideas, okay. So I did a lot of research there, guys, okay, on one particular kind of characters and projects there, guys. It's a serious kind of things there. If you thought you just produce only, 5 sketches is quite burden for you, okay, the real world is going to be different there, guys. Okay, it's going to be different there. You're going to work with one particular characters, but you have done a bunch of research before you're going to decide to work on that. Okay, all right. So make sure you take notes from here there, okay. I give you guys some examples what is going on in outside world that you're not going to be getting in your universities, your campus kind of life there, okay, and your what we call that formal kind of lessons there. But I share with you guys all these kind of things there because I want to see that I want to make sure that you guys really have awareness, okay, of what you're going to experience later on, okay, when you develop your ideas for your clients. And you have to be a lot of different type of clients in this world directly that you're going to experience. Even though you're not going to make design again, you're going to become a customer service or you work with some of the projects, okay? There's a lot of different kind of people you're going to face, okay? That's why you need to understand how it works for your work first. You need to understand about how actually you're going to produce your works first. Then you can talk about your works, you can explain, and you can actually develop them, right? According to what you have been trained there. Okay, all right. So, Wei Kong, thank you very much for your commitments over here. You can actually update your sketches later on there. Okay, don't throw away this one. Keep it over here, and you just resubmit a new ideas there. Right? Okay. And of course, I want to see also more on your mood board, your reference, your research, your samples, your inspirations there before you're going to decide to work on it. Okay. All right. And of course, okay, Chen there, right? Okay. I see you have developed a few number kind of sketches over here. Good. Try to add more understanding and also developing there, okay? I've seen these characters came from one of those games, I don't know, okay, or animations, okay? Please basically redesign these characters according to not only your understanding, but based on a certain kind of feature that you actually can redevelop. Okay, this is based on the chibi styles characters there, right? Chibi style character there. So try to redesign a bit more further. If you think that you actually have reversed some of the characters, okay, like this one there, right, from your design, please make sure you refine them back there, okay? And if you want to make it a little bit more cute kind of design, okay, from here, or evil kind of looks, try to redesign a bit more further on those features of these characters. Okay, it's a fox there, right? Okay? It's almost like look like a fox, right? Chen Chen?
Yeah.
Right. So try to redesign a bit more further. Okay, for examples, hopefully, okay, my line is okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay. For example, there, okay, when you start to design those characters there, guys, okay, first of all, you have to think about those features there. The features of this fox is came from like a diamond shape there, right? There's a very strong kind of shapes of like look like a knife a little bit, okay? The shapes over here. And then what else there? Now, basically, if you have that kind of features over here, you want to make these characters a little bit more evil, for example, there, right? For example, right? This is only my perception there, right? So what you can do from here, try to redesign those structures there, right back again. Okay, let me refer the characters itself. Okay, there has a shapes like this one there, right? So what I can do from here, okay, what else there, right? Okay, to make these characters a little bit more strong, okay, there has a what we call that a crown, okay, on those forehead there. All right, a ring kind of crown there, right? Okay, you have to make these characters look a bit more superior there. Okay, so what I can do, okay, sketch out your ideas first, like okay, this is going to be the nose there, right? Then, okay, the eyes again with more fearless there, right? Like this. Basic shapes there, guys. Basic shapes there. Okay. So what she's wearing there, okay? If she's a woman there, right? Okay? And then the head there, right? The ears there. Maybe you were to add a bit more like yes, a horn over here to control people's there, okay? So the emeralds that we have from here is the eyes, basically the eyes can control people there, okay? Those are the things that you can actually try to design. Okay, now basically I'm going to design basically those eyes itself. Okay, for example, look more evil a bit, right? Or I don't know, right? If you want to make it a bit more chibi, it's up to you guys there, okay? But sketch out those ideas first correctly. So I'm going to spend my times design those ideas like this one that I get first. So sketch out, right? Okay? Your ideas there. So always refer to your reference. Okay. So she has a very okay, the nose over here. slightly going to what we call that smile. Right. If you have to make it, she's become a woman or lady or female there, right? So you have to draw the eyelash there, right? Not too much. Okay. She's a very long neck, okay, to make it more like someone who actually can control situations. Right. See? Right. Sketch carefully those ideas there, okay, when you design there, right? I love basically to spend my time to develop a more proper kind of sketch normally there, right? Okay, in the past time there. Because when I have this kind of time to sketch, right? Okay, more there, okay. So I will draw basically some sort of like the jewels there, right? Okay, some accessories that she's wearing from here, right? Spend more time to design your characters here, right? With some of the detailing later on there, right? So you need to apply also some fantasy kind of look and feel there. This is not going to be applied on Chen Chen kind of ideas there, right? It can be applied also from Chen Chen to anyone else there. So at the same time, okay, there's a ring of those cane there, right? Okay, right there. Maybe I can actually design those cane right here. Okay, there's a ring. Okay, of fire there maybe. Okay, the ring of fire is there, right? So from here, maybe there is a, right? Show basically the circus kind of what we call that pen there, right? Okay, they show basically she's controlling the circus there. For example, right? Okay. So the compositions there, guys. Okay, we use a modern kind of compositions there. Okay, that means the compositions are going to be direct, but you can actually compose a bit more better kind of compositions right here, directly. From here, maybe you guys can actually write, let us say, you're going to design basically, she's holding, right? She's trying to holding basically those, okay, in her arms basically, right? In her hands, right? Okay, maybe she's holding basically some act. For example, there's a globe of balls there, right? Okay, has a powers on it, right? Okay, some sort of energies right here. What else there? Okay, maybe she's controlling basically the act of those flying elephants there, right? Maybe there. Okay. Okay, and this one maybe some sort of like the act of those uh, tigers there, right? Okay, or lions there, right? Huh? Okay, lions act there. Okay, sketch out those rough kind of ideas there first. So this is basically some sort of like developing those ideas, okay, before we're going to refine a bit more. Sometimes, okay, the hands doesn't have to be attached on those body there, okay, because right here we can actually add another element if you want to there, okay. But a lot of element that you guys can actually use, maybe some sort of like psycho mind key basically are going to be her assistance there, okay. All right. Okay. even though I try to sketch a little bit more like roughly like this, okay? So this psycho monkey basically you doing some yoga, floating around, okay, the pedestals, okay, for example, right? It can be there, okay? So if you take a look, okay, the whole act of the circus were in this composition there. What else that we can actually put right here? We actually can design some trampoline there, right? Okay, act here, right here. It's some sort of like, even though I'm not going to develop a lot of most of it, right? Okay, maybe you want to act right, okay, like those other than bears, maybe some sea, even though it's not going to be quite logic, right? Okay, but you actually can design, okay, this seal were basically in a trampoline and has one cycles of bike there, okay, right here, there, right? They were basically those kind of what we call that, doing this kind of act like this one there, right? This one also, even to balance them up, okay, okay, another seals over here, okay. So you need to develop a very proper kind of composition. I'm using very modern, direct kind of composition like this because easy for you to execute your ideas and add those elements. At the same time, you actually can manage your kind of compositions, right? Other than you do a lot of very not properly done perspective there, okay, to make yourself a bit more kind of confusions later on there, right? Okay, that's basically you need to understand to work smart on it, right? Okay? I give you guys a very direct compositions like this one, okay, to give you more kind of what we call a better kind of understanding. And of course, right, the focal point right now for this composition is always the main characters there, the fox, the lady fox there, okay. And then the sub characters is a monkey and the other elements of those animals there, okay, at the same time, right? It works with that. Other than that, later on, you actually can add some backgrounds, some colorful kind of backgrounds there maybe, but with a dark kind of light and tone there, right? Okay, to work on that. Okay? So we need to basically work smart in order to develop our compositions there, guys. Okay. So this is basically week 4, group 7, session 2. Sketches there, right? Okay, guys. You guys understood? Tyan is here, not right? Tyan is not here yet. Okay, welcome, right? So, like the pangolin characters here, there, right? You need to be smart to work on those pangolin there, right?
Okay,
because there's a lot of good kind of qualities of ideas that you actually can design based on the pangolin, but you need to be, like I said, okay, do some research more and understand the basic form and structures of this pangolin there, okay. For example, okay, when I design those pangolin, okay, I start with this kind of shapes over here like this. Let's just say you want to make those pangolin wearing a hat there, okay, as part of those act here. So pangolin has a what we call that nose type kind of things, okay, right here, okay. So there's a skin over here that you want to design and back, and hand basically, right, okay. And of course, if he's wearing basically a coat there, right, okay, as an act. So you need to design those kind of what we call that, those kind of what we call that styles there of to post basically the characters itself there. So from here, there, okay, from the mistaken, okay, you can actually redesign those pangolin have okay, a bit more like human type kind of styles, and maybe this is one of those clown there, right? Okay, can be there, right? Okay, there. Yeah. can be. All right. If you take a look at my sketches right now, I'm actually focus more on those. Okay, he's maybe a magician's there. So what he actually going to be doing some act like here, okay? Or maybe there is a globe of ball over here, all right, floating around the what we call the pedestals, and they're going to be the act of those circus kind of act in the globe ball there, okay? What else do we can actually create from here? Okay, maybe there's a flying kind of tigers there, maybe, right? Okay, and flying tigers with bears there, right? Okay, so on the globes, like inside those globe there, okay. So all this kind of fantasy, imaginative kind of way of presenting your ideas can be applied with various type of styles that if you want to. Okay, what else that we can actually create also from it? A lot of things there, guys. Okay, there's a lot of things there, okay, that you have to work with. Maybe there is pigeons there, okay, flying over, okay. Pigeons there, okay. Hopefully, didn't drop anything, right? Okay, the food on top of it, okay. For example, there, right. When you open up those head, maybe there is a rabbit right here. Okay, rabbit there, right? Okay. We actually also do some act there, maybe. All right. So all these kind of wild, imaginative kind of ideas, okay, even though it looks simple there, it will give you more engaging on the concept of that circus at the same time there, right? Okay. What else that we can actually create from here, there, okay? Let's just say this guy basically, right? Okay. At the backdrop, maybe there's a certain kind of animals like elephants there, right? Elephant who actually afraid with this pangolin there, right? Okay, right? Afraid of this pangolin there. Okay, all right. So other elephants, okay? Maybe this is another elephant. Okay, there's another elephant right here, there, okay? Who actually afraid with this pangolin there. Okay? As a background, okay, but it's a little bit more fade or dim there, right? Okay, so to make sure that we see basically the pangolin as he is control the whole thing from here, right? So all these ideas, okay, the what we call imaginative ideas, and also have that kind of personalities and characteristic and emotions from each character designer, okay, it will give a little bit more soul on your works there, rather than you just playing around with a very stiff, unemotional, and unexpressions kind of way of working with those kind of characters at the same time there, okay. So you have to be work based on those emotions that can bring emotion to those design at the same time there, okay. So bring those emotion, bring those kind of personalities there, okay, to your design, to your character, to your presentation, rather than you just post basically the pictures of animal of circus, okay, who doing something, but there is no emotion from there, right? There is no emotion from that kind of works there, okay. So bring those kind of emotion there, okay, to your ideas right here, okay, to develop those kind of ideas there, right? So for me, I can actually will develop more further on kind of detailing later on to develop from here, right? If I have more time there, okay. I have one, okay. Right now I have basically, you can see from here, right? I got another, okay, ideas that actually developed, right? During the process, right here, okay. Okay, right here, This one. This one, right? So generally, I have 5 different sketches there, okay, based on the same ideas, but I try to improvise those kind of elements at the same time, right? Okay. Another ideas that I have just now, there, right, were based from this guy there, all right. I can add some detailing if I want to here. Copy, save. Right. So you just have to merge the layers there, right? Okay. So basically, I have 5 different sketches based on the same compositions. This is the sketches number 3, all right. Sketches number 4, thumbnails, right? Okay. And this is number 5 there, right? Yeah, right. Save the files, all right. Yeah. Okay. So 5 different kind of ideas that based on the sketches, okay, thumbnails there. So all this kind of idea development that I create spontaneously will give you, hopefully can give you a bit more kind of insight of understanding that I work based on someone ideas at the same time, taking some ideas from Chen Chen and also Wei Kong there, okay, and to develop into my own compositions there. Okay, but I'm still using most of the same compositions, but I try to add different kind of elements and ideas at the same time. Okay, that's how it goes there, guys. Before we get to add more details there from there. So if you guys get ready, like I've already seen basically Chen Chen and also Wei Kong, okay? There are submissions of those developments there. How about the rest of you guys there? You can recall names here. All right, Sun Wei, are you ready to share your ideas?
No, I haven't done.
Haven't what? Hey, I developed those ideas for a few minutes only there, right? You
No,
have
I
2
have
days there,
ideas,
3 days
but
there to work.
no, I have idea, but it's not really
It's
good.
okay. It's okay. Just throw those ideas there first. That's basically the process that we need to do. Okay.
Wait.
So don't worry there, okay? Do you think my sketches is nice? My sketches also look worse
Yeah.
there, right? Huh?
It's nice.
No.
Better
Right.
than.
Roughly they're okay there, but train yourself from there. Okay. Train yourself from there, okay? But don't be afraid to show your silly ideas sometimes, right? You know? Because from there we can improve a lot. Where is it? Share the screen.
Wait, I'm trying to share screen.
Okay. Good, right? All right, guys.
So
We have some ideas from there.
yeah,
Underwater creatures design. Oh, so
yeah, I want to
there, right?
I want to make like underwater circus,
Okay.
but my composition a bit not that good.
All right. try to basically do more research on the underwater fantasy game, kind of what we call that composition or styles there, okay?
Oh, okay.
And of course, okay, if you check look but from my compositions, that you can use my compositions that I actually introduced to you guys to apply on your under creatures kind of characters. It can be that. You have to be open up a little bit on your mind to change the arrangement, okay? Because this arrangement is a bit kind of like very look a bit more like not quite interesting, okay? That based on your creatures here. Okay, and of course, okay, you have to do some research a bit more further on the illustration styles. Okay, if you take a look at all these kind of illustration style, okay, some modern illustration style, okay, to be specific, sometimes they use a very simple kind of design there to work on it. And you see this my screen sharing there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why I say, okay, I would love to spend more times when I do my research, right, to look into all these kind of illustrations there. Can you see that? Okay, this is how actually they design this mermaid kind of character there, right? Looking for underwater there, okay? We're looking for that, right? How actually they design these characters a little bit more naive, more natural, but at the same times, it has some sort of like a characteristic and appealing on this, on those ideas there. Okay. I want to show you guys also my kind of interpretations on those underwater kind of character design, which is I actually have been designed before for one of the children's novels there. Okay, let me share with you guys here. It's basically on Facebook's, right? Let me check that, right? Okay, for a while. Where is it? Okay. But I'm using black and white and grayscale there, okay? But I'm using only, but this, the children's styles illustration books is basically look a little bit more like a cartoon styles there, okay? But it's a stylization kind of characters there. Okay, this is the one there, right? Okay, this is the one, okay? I designed basically these characters using a simplicity kind of styles there, okay? So the books itself, okay, this is the illustration inside of those novels there, right? It's not comic, it's the novels there. So I designed a very experimental with the color scheme and styles there, and most of it doesn't look quite very sharp there, okay, but it looks a bit more silhouette kind of looks there. So that's basically how I developed that kind of styles of different styles of illustrations, okay, for those some of the illustration styles for my clients kind of works there, right? Okay. So if you can basically exploring that kind of ideas, okay, because we know basically if you say you're not actually good enough on those composition or the illustrations, don't worry, say guys. If you look into more different kind of way to approach your works, you will find a lot of methods there later on. That okay. For example, like I want to show a bit there right here. Save this file there first. All right. Let's say that, right? You want to design. I want to show you guys one of the tricks that I actually use for designing those characters there. Okay. Where is it just down there, right? Your design just now is okay. I can imagine that. So let's just say I draw the octopus there. Okay, guys, right? What I'm going to do right now. So I'm designing octopus based on the shapes, right? But I'm sketching using the shapes lah. This one, right? Okay, I actually recommend you guys don't design directly like this. Sketch first your ideas and then use this kind of methods that works. I just show you guys how to work on it, right? So normally, when I want to paint, I'm going to use this. Normally, I'm using a very standard brush lah, but I cannot find those standard brush that I normally use for those those what we call that those new kind of 2018 kind of features here. So I kind of like need to experiment with different kind of paint styles. Okay. So normally I'm using Photoshop 7 to work on it. But this is some of the brushes that I use, guys, okay, to develop basically some textures kind of elements there, right, okay, for my works. So one of the reasons I don't want to use, try to use colors, right, okay. Maybe the squid are going to be look a bit more like, you need to learn about the color scheme at the same time there, guys, okay. The squid kind of characters normally, okay, they look a bit more like pinkish there, right? Okay, I'm going to paint first like this. Okay, I'm using flows quite very light there, right? Okay, the flows itself, and I'm going to lock the shadows there, right? The shadows tone, for example, this is a shadow tone there. The light came from this side there, okay? And the next thing that I'm going to do there, right? This is the things that I actually, this is my top secret there, right? Okay, I'm using a drip splat kind of brushes like this one, see? Okay, what I'm going to do, right, I'm going to add this kind of methods like watercolor techniques for my illustrations there, see? We get, okay? We cannot get it because of the flows there. See? I want to get this kind of watercolor kind of brush method techniques, the what we call that qualities there. See? I'm using this kind of tricks there, okay, for my illustrations. To make it different kind of styles there, look and feel for my works there, right? Okay. After that, okay, what else that we can do from here, okay? So, but this kind of techniques need a lot of layers. Like, let me save the files there first. 4, 7, demo colors there, okay. Other than we use a conventional color, those who actually have weakness normally there, okay, but you have to sketch first your ideas there. So the squid kind of looks from top, going to be look like what, like this. Is it like this? The squid kind of looks there. So I'm going to paint that first. Okay. Sometimes I didn't have to change the brushes there, right? I straight away paint using this kind of methods that you work. So that's why, right, okay, in illustration, you have to experiment with a lot of styles there, guys. Okay, before you're going to decide that. Experiment them, right? Okay? Most people nowadays, they don't spend too much time to develop that kind of experimental kind of way of working. That's why you cannot basically, your level of understanding will basically quite limited there, okay? You know basically only manga kind of styles there when it comes to works there, right? So where basically the eyes that I'm going to put there, okay? Maybe the eyes are going to put right here, there, maybe there, right? Okay? What I can do, I'm going to design first the faces there. Maybe the faces are going to be look here. Okay, the techniques basically need a lot of layers there before we're going to combine them. Now, the eyes there, okay? When I design the eyes on top of the layers there, maybe the eyes look like this one there. Like this one there, right? Or like this there, the shapes using lasso tools. But make sure that, okay, the feather are going to be 0% there, right? So the eyes, okay, I'm using dark color tone first before I'm going to add those white colors there. Okay. Because these techniques normally, okay, it will require for us to see the, okay, you can basically apply those tone without worrying about the shades there. But we have to lock those kind of methods, right? We have to do some experimental kind of work. Right? Okay, experiment with the techniques there, right? From here, I'm going to use alternate to cut this part, design those eyes. Okay, so the eyes, color that we're going to use, okay? Maybe blue colors there. We have to make maybe what we call it reddish a little bit, because we have to make the color tone more harmonized there. Cannot too contrast there, right? Okay. I want to make it more harmonized there, right? I can add more details from here if I want to. See? The pupil there, right? The iris and the pupils there. Brush. More tone. Right? I can add more dark tone over here. See? All right. And of course, I want to make the colors, okay, the eyes become a bit more alive. I'm going to put some highlights there, right? Have you guys seen this method before? So I can design the characters there, right? But a bit more like a children's style and stylizations there. So now I can actually design basically the tentacles. Right, the tentacles there, right? Okay, tentacles there. But of course, this is not the actual kind of design yet, right? If you really want to develop this kind of styles, make sure you sketch properly there first. I didn't sketch properly right here. I just want to show you guys the methods and techniques, how actually I'm going to work with those ideas there, right? Okay, to design the characters that based on this method, okay, this kind of methods of working there, right? Okay. So you need to basically to experiment and construct your sketches there first before you're going to decide to use them. Right? Okay, the colors of it, maybe I'm going to change them. Okay, those brush colors over here. Make it a little bit more contrast here, okay? Step there, right? Nice. Want to add more tone, more darker there, right? There. A lot of things that we can actually do from it if I want to, right? Okay, if I'm going to combine the whole, okay, the whole compositions right here, okay, the whole character design there, right? First, scale down a bit, then I can actually select them first, like this one there, right? Add new layers. I can create another tone there, okay, like using this different kind of brush, okay. Normally I can actually use different kind of brush in different layers to add some shadows more, okay. So my shadows kind of choice are going to be purple there, okay. Okay, most of the shadow that I'm going to use will be more like a purple there, right? And reduce a bit on the opacities, and that's it. All right. You see the varieties there, okay, on those colors here. Later on, I can actually add those background colors there, okay. The background colors are going to be a bit more dark kind of tone. Okay. Okay. So I can actually redesign a bit more further later on if I want to. Okay, this is the shadows line. Okay, I can actually add some shadows also from here if I want to. For example, okay, this is a lasso. This is a selection tool from the layers there, right? I can actually add some shadows line like this one there, right? Yeah. Okay, the selections over here there first. Copy and paste the shadows. And then I'm going to multiply that, see, the shadows there. This is different kind of techniques there, okay? Even though you're using a very simple characters, you can make it more appealing there, guys. Okay, more appealing there, okay? That's basically the tricks there, the tips there, okay? And of course, from here normally, I can add also a different kind of elements there. I can actually add basically some line works there, okay, in this design. But I'm using, let's just say I'm using back again the ink brushes there, right? Of course, you want to make some mistakes, avoid make mistake, add new layers at first lah. So the line works using white colors there maybe. I can design the line works there. See? Because the tentacle have also this, what we call that, some textures elements that can actually make the squid basically can trap basically their, because the squid basically is a predator, right? There, you can mix them up, those kind of methods and techniques there. If I don't want to draw all the time there, right? If I don't want to just create the whole element all the time there, I can redesign them here. It mixed up my idea. This is what we call the element and principle of design. Like guys, okay, we design things out from the normal kind of way of working there, okay? Whatever that you have in mind is always anime and manga there. Only that kind of ideas that you have in terms of illustrations there, right? But my kind of perceptions here, I will design something that beyond whatever that I saw. Even though I love anime and manga there, right? But I can actually design beyond that. That's basically, we train guys to become designers, not become the imitators of anime or manga styles or whatever that you have in mind only there, right? So that's why you have to be smart towards that. We train you guys to become creative, not the imitators there. Not imitators there, guys. You see, right, okay, how I actually combine them, all these elements together, mix them up, using this, what we call that, element and principle of design, okay, to design those work there. All right. For those who think you're not good enough in those drawings there, this is one of the great kind of illustration styles that you guys can explore. All right, you guys can explore that by combining those, the color combinations at the same time. That works on that. There's a lot of things that we can actually do from these styles there, guys. Okay, so you can actually apply the same techniques in different characters here if you want to. All right, you can actually work a lot of things there from here. Okay, for examples, there I can actually design some bubbles there, okay, that we actually have done it before in our previous kind of illustrations last semester there, right? So right now, let's just say I'm going to design a bubble there, right? Using flows a bit. Okay. Keep the size. Look a bit more like underwater there, right? But this is only a simple kind of presentations there. You can do a lot from there if you explore and sketch out your ideas there first. Right? Simple kind of techniques that can be effective in your kind of presentation in the future there. Other than you be using a conventional kind of way of working there. I can use also these techniques and mix it up with my initial ideas if I want to. Right? For this one, right? I can use them, right? Combine them, mix them up, but based on the sketches. Always sketch out your ideas there. Don't just trace, don't just draw them using lasso tools without any kind of reference. Okay, without any reference there first. Always find some reference there. Okay? For example, if I want to design from these sketches there, right? I would actually add new layers. All right, this one. Okay, I'm reducing the opacity there first. Okay, I'm still online there, right? So what I can do, same thing. I will draw the shapes of these animals there, right? Sometimes I can actually redesign them here, like this one there. Right? See, if we have a proper sketches, a bit more better for to redesign our ideas there. instead of just drawing from out of nowhere there, right? See? So from here, I can add those colors there first, right? What are the colors of these foxes there? I want to design those colors become a bit more light, a bit more evils there, or pinkish a little bit there, right? It can be, right? And then I paint it, right? I can paint using those brushes if I want to, like this one. Okay. Okay. Add the tone directly there first. Okay, but the tones don't actually right has a these kind of methods and techniques. Normally, I'm going to bend a bit kind of some of the rules there. Okay, I will bend some of the rules there. Okay, not break the rules, but bend some of the rules. What happens here? No longer presented. Using back again. Okay. Okay. Now from here, if I actually have figured out enough okay, on my works, normally I'm going to this one. So I'm going to do some selections like this one there first. Okay. Copy and paste. Multiply if I want to. Or I can actually use some adjustment levels, right? Adjust the light and tone there, right? And then I can add another layers to design basically the nose there, right? Brush, all right, back again. This is one of those different kind of color methods that I actually want to introduce you guys. Okay, one of my tricks that I use for most of my illustrations, other than I using the conventional kind of way of okay. Okay, from here I can add another details on the nose itself there. You see, right? And the eyes there are the what we call that those eyebrows there. Even though I can actually redesign and what we call that duplicate them there, right? That's it. Right. And then the next thing is I'm going to design basically those eyes. There's a lot of way the guys to work on that, okay? To go through the details there, but I just want to show you guys basically how it works, okay? And I think all of those I see, I can actually paint it right. So I can actually add more detail from here if I want to. Okay, now this part colors right are going to be a bit different. So change tone a bit. Right, okay. Different kind of what we call that sketch and styles there, but using the same methods if I want to there. Okay. I can actually paint like a conventional kind of way if I want to. Like you guys can see some of the previous work that I've done for my demonstrations there. Okay, but from here we can mix them up. Okay, I will mix up with the brush styles like this. Okay, those kind of brush style for this illustration there. So, I can mix them up if I want to. Yeah. We say we cannot actually mix them up there, right? So this part there basically, okay, using different colors there. Why actually engaging with different kind of colors there? To make some contrast there, guys. Okay, contrast there. See, mixed up there. We can add more and more details if you want to. Okay, we can add more and more details there. So from here, I can add different kind of colors also there, right? For those, back of those eyes, okay? I can use different colors if I want to, like light colors a little bit, using the same brushes, okay? Or different kind of brushes if I want to. Okay, see? There. Good. I can add some different kind of shadows there, right here. Brush. Okay, the shadows are going to be a little bit more like purplish there, okay, light purples. And can mix there. Okay, this is color combinations. All right. The trick is you have to understand the color kind of tone there, right? Whatever that you guys have learned before, using basically what? What is it, right? Okay, you guys have learned it before. Those color, what we call that, warm and cool colors kind of methods there, right? Apply that like in your works here. See? A lot of things we can actually done from here. There, okay? I can actually design also, okay, the eyes there, right? First of all, I will draw the shapes there first. One, add another layers. Okay. This kind of methods and techniques, we require few number kind of layer depending on those, where basically we're going to put those kind of what we call that elements there, right? Huh? From here, right, maybe I'm going to add this kind of what we call that. See, those emeralds, okay, those kind of we call that 8 kind of gears there. Some tone a little bit on those shadows. Or this particular kind of works there, right? See? Now from here, right, I can add more detailing. And then I just paint in the normal kind of way. You guys can see that, right? I try to use different kind of way there to approach. This is what creativity is all about, lah. Okay? If you talk about, I cannot draw like this, sir, right? I cannot draw like this one, okay? Find an option, lah. When you want to find some options, of course, you need to basically to experiment with your styles there, right? It doesn't mean that you have, it doesn't mean that you like anime styles. You need to draw anime styles only. Because if you want to design like anime styles, make sure you have a very good understanding on the human anatomy is there. If you draw human also, you feel like lousy there, right? Don't imagine to draw anime. Because if you're going to study anime styles, make sure you have a very good understanding on the human anatomy is there. Figure drawing has to be mastered at first. Okay, the eyes there, see? I can do a lot of things there from here, guys, okay, if I want to. Right, a lot of things there. Some shadows line, okay? This part has to be shadows, right? Okay, what? I duplicate the layers there first, all right? In the back layers over here, I create the shadows, the shadows line. You see from that? It can be like this one, or you can actually apply different kind of methods of shadows. This part, I can actually add more detailing if I want to. Okay, this one, the eyes itself. Can you see how actually I mixed up, okay, those elements, line and shapes together with one composition there. That's basically the thing that you have to experiment at the same time that how to work with it. Now basically I can actually paint this part. Okay. And I can add also some shadows there from here. Okay. This part also I can actually add more details if I want to later on there. Right? The next thing is, okay, based on the sketches, I can draw basically the neck. Normally I'm going to draw a bit kind of full kind of shapes on it, right? Okay. The size in the neck, right? And how to make contrast from here, add some of the tone a bit. Just want to make the neck contrast a little bit from here. One of the reason I choose this kind of methods because it can show basically some traditional watercolor techniques in my presentations. Okay, like watercolor techniques, right? This kind of things. Okay. So today, basically, you guys can see different kind of way to approach those color methods other than the conventional way that I might going to be experiment and also introduce to you guys. All right, okay, for our next sessions there. All right. So take a look at guys. Okay, if you say that just like some of you guys like Sunway just now say, okay, I cannot draw my composition, so I find different options to work. So I show you guys, I give you guys some example how to develop different kind of options for your works there, right? Okay, you're saying that you cannot do like this, do like that. That's what I say. Okay, you need to experiment with your kind of styles there. Okay, try to find and seek more kind of illustration style that can fit with your works there, right? That's basically you're supposed to do it. Maybe you need to apply some sort of illustration style that a bit more look graphical there rather than a conventional kind of way to approach your illustrations kind of works. Like this one, they're using lasso a lot, right? Okay? And mixed up with the colors there at the same time there. It can be there, guys, that work with it. What we have learned basically last semesters, one of the fundamental way and rules how to develop. But this semesters, you have to experiment with colors there. So the best way to experiment with colors, right, is to develop experiment with those kind of what we call that styles that you want to approach. Right? This is also one of the good examples there. Right? Nowadays we have to, normally if I cannot actually write save, I will print screen there. Right? All right. We can save here, but save in mood board there. Right? All right, guys. Any questions so far? Any inquiries? So hopefully this demonstration I can upload back again later on there, right? Okay. So learn and experiment, okay, to develop those coloring methods and techniques. You're not, I don't know whether you actually have experiment a lot, okay, before we're going to do these illustrations there. If you just wait basically to develop them next week's, you not experiment them your styles, okay, and wait for the sketches to be complete, or you just waste your time, do something else there, okay, you won't be able to make it right. I developed most of the styles basically for almost 10, 15 years there, okay, now. 10, 15 years, 15 years there, okay, more, okay, or 20 years there, right? So what makes you actually can develop more further from here if you actually practice right now that you work with it? You have the tools with you guys there. The only thing that you need to do right now is to push yourself there to work on that. All right. So, any inquiries, any questions? If you don't have that, okay, thank you very much for having today. I have another session that we can break early there, okay, so you guys can experiment more further, and hopefully, okay, the rest of you guys will be developing those kind of works there, right? So experiment with the techniques at the same time there to work on it. The brushes that I use basically for the drip and splat is a paint splash brushes that you can download those brushes if you want to directly. So there's a lot of a lot of brushes that you guys can actually experiment if you want to directly. Just also quite nice brushes there, but I haven't tried that yet. So great brushes there for the textures there, okay? But you need to be smart to use them. Okay? We cannot just simply use these brushes, okay? And then you felt that, oh, you have to experiment them, try to make it look. Sometimes these kind of brushes, I can draw another elements like, for example, like a corals there, right? Coral kind of shapes like this, right? Okay. Copy and paste there. Sorry, copy and paste. See the coral shape there, okay, based on these textures over here, and I can actually write multiply there, scale, and I can actually write make it more balanced for my compositions. See, and B, I can actually write playing with like water kind of reef there right here. See, a water kind of reef there. Using the lasso tools only there, right? Copy paste, see, water reef there, right? Then I can mix them up there, right? Transform, flip horizontals there, change the positions there, right? Huh? And rotate a bit there, right? See, be creative, like to develop those compositions there, guys. This is what we can do basically to work with it, huh? Okay, right? Part basically, sorry, this part. I want to mix them up, I can scale down there. Be more varieties there, right? Okay? On the works there, right? A lot of things that we can develop different elements if we want to there to work with it. I can actually write reuse basically this character back again there, right? This one, duplicate them, put it right here, right? Reduce them, put at the back. I actually can multiply, make it a bit more like there's a lot of squid there, okay? I can also transform, flip horizontals there, right? See. Oops. Okay. Yeah. Just balance them up, right? To balance them up with those elements there together. A lot of way we can use directly. We can actually use screen, right, to mix them up there. I can use overlay. See, look like Rajan a little bit, right? But basically, we just reuse them. How actually we can actually make our composition look more reachable there. I'm using very simple ideas to works, but a smart way to make developing more creative kind of way of working with those kind of elements there, guys. Okay. Other than we just use conventional kind of way there, okay? So for me, there is no such thing that people say, I cannot draw like this, I cannot draw like that, right? Okay? Because you can basically choose the best way to develop your skill on your kind of ability and your what we call the potentials that you have. You don't have to be someone else there. I show you guys techniques which can be alternative for you to execute and to survive in this illustration world. That's basically I try to develop that, right? Okay. Because no one, okay, we can actually assume that we can become someone else. Like, you want to become an anime, manga kind of illustrators? Yes, you can. But can you put a lot of efforts to develop your skills to draw like that? If you don't have the discipline of anime or manga or Japanese kind of peoples, don't try to become one there, right? Okay? Don't try to wannabe there. Okay? Try to be yourself there first. And of course, if you think that, okay, I meant to become animators for Japanese kind of anime, you have to build up your discipline from there. Simple as that. All right. I'm not saying that I love Japanese anime manga directly, but I'm not trying to pretend to be like them. I will draw like that kind of particular styles if the job requires me to work on it. People pay me for it. Other than I just want to become because it look like a cool kind of styles there. For me, it's a very nice kind of styles there. But you need to find also your kind of skills there that can be applied into that particular kind of way of working. Okay, you have to sacrifice a lot of time from there. If you can spend times to develop them, don't just try to be wannabe. Try to become them, right? That should be more better there. Because I have a few number kind of students who can design and draw anime manga styles. And when they succeed, I feel proud about it. What are the things that we don't want to see? That you thought you can do it well from that styles there, but the whole presentation look more worse, more ugly, and it'll be more lousy for you to present. Okay? It doesn't show any kind of creativities from there. You just try to pretend to be someone that you cannot be there. Okay? That's basically a fake thing. They try to seek for more originality on your works as a student at first. And then you build up whatever that you like to do in the futures if you have more time there to practice. Simple as that. Even though these kind of simple techniques, right, it's going to be hard for you if you don't practice. Right? Same goes if you don't actually spend times to develop basically your kind of what we call that exposures there, experience there, to look into all these kind of styles of illustrations there first. Before you think, oh, I want to use this kind of style, I want to use this kind of style there to work. If you go into this kind of what we call that Pinterest there, you can find a lot of illustration styles there that can be applied there, right? Pinterest there, right? You go into Pinterest, for example, like this one. Okay. You can see basically how people sketch their ideas there. All right, this one there, right? Okay. They spend a lot of time to develop that kind of skill, that the strokes that correctly. I already teach you guys also how to develop the kind of particular kind of strokes there and try to compose using the reference if you want to. What I did basically right now is purely based from my imaginations there. No sketches inside my head. All right. So that's the difference there, guys. Okay. But if you can actually come up with a very great compositions like this, using your direct kind of imaginations, you actually has a next level of developing your kind of illustration styles there. Right? But if you can't there, right, okay, go into the proper kind of way of working with your illustrations there first, and then experiment with different kind of styles that you want basically later on. Okay, so the time is all on you. Okay, the skills, the time, the managements, okay, the methods is all on you. Okay? I just provide you guys some methods there, some solutions there for you guys to work. All right, I'm not saying this is not good. Like, if you have that kind of ability to work on it, go ahead. But I saw some students, right, okay, they can sketch really well. The paint styles is quite worse there, right? So make sure you actually, what we call that, stand in your own realities there. Okay? Don't try to pretend to be someone else if you don't have enough time to develop that. Okay? And of course, don't try to trace from these compositions, from these drawings, if you want to make it into your illustration there. You draw yourself on there, okay? You want to design some characters, right? Draw yourself to become this anime kind of characters there. Don't try to draw from other people's kind of works there. Those are basically one of those basically discipline there, right? I know basically there's a lot of reference right here. Don't try not to copy from this drawing to become your own there, right? You want to draw anime manga, draw your own kind of anime manga composition there. You can use this one as a part of your influence, reference, inspirations, but don't copy directly from here. Okay, you can practice yourself to draw the anime manga style if you want to, but try not to copy and trace them back and put in your compositions. Okay, am I actually copy from other people's what we call the composition? No, there, okay, but I draw from the actual reference there. Right? You understand what I mean? Okay, try to work on that. Okay, develop them, enjoy yourself to work and to develop towards those kind of ideas there at the same time, there, guys. Okay, all right. So if you don't have any questions, thank you very much for today. Right, enjoy yourself there to develop your works there and try to submit them on this Saturday there, okay, for your first progressions. We see you guys back again next week, all right, in order to see your kind of progressions over here. Guys, I just want to remind you guys, okay, around 13th of December, I have to postpone our class there, okay. 15 December there, because I have to send my daughter to Penang there, okay, because she has basically that some sort of registration on 14 days. So I cannot actually make it on 14 basically, just to travel over there and rush out for those registration there, okay, for his UITM, okay, he's going to uni there. So I'm going to inform you guys, and we are going to make some sort of replacement class on that day. Okay, we have two group there, okay, group 7 and group 6 there, right? We're going to do some replacement after that, right? Okay. So when basically your available time there, okay? My available time is only on Tuesdays. Tuesdays after that week there, right? Do you have any available time on those Tuesdays? Because I have to book some of those what we call that, those time that, okay, even though I can actually do those what we call that, those online classes without any demonstrations, okay, at that day there, okay, we have to think about it again later on, okay, how is it going to be works there, right? Okay, because on that day we need to, I can actually online, okay, during those 15 there, okay, at Penang there, okay, but I don't know basically if it's going to be works on, okay, depending, okay. I just give you guys some sort of like advanced kind of notice there first, okay, briefly, because on 15 I'm going to be at Penang there, okay. So if I can actually do some online sessions, okay, we don't have to go for what we call that, skip the class lah, right? Okay, because I still can online, but I can't actually do some demonstration from there lah. I just want to review a little bit on your progression review, right? Okay, if I can cover basically some coloring techniques next week, we don't have to basically to what we call that, to do some what we call the replacement class on Monday. We just can do some online. I can check your progressions, that's all. Okay, all right guys, any questions, any kind of inquiries about the techniques? Okay, practice them from now on. Try to sketch more early there, okay. Try to experiment with your characters there, okay. They're going to be needed, all these kind of skills later on for your future semester there, okay. Because the next semesters, I think you have a 2D animation, if I'm not mistaken there. All right, if you're not actually applying the right kind of skills to develop your characters, it might going to be have a lot of difficulty to design them, right, using those ad hoc animator. Okay. Okay, thank you very much, guys. Okay, so I'll see you guys back again next week, and have a good day. Don't forget to submit your progressions at the same times, and good luck, and have a good weekend. All right, guys. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
Right.